Hello all, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Range Rover. You'll be glad to see, I'm sure. Bit of a different one today. I have been sent a product to review. So full disclosure, this was sent for free, but I can be as honest as I like about it. And what it is an OBDII enhanced code scanner. Model YA201. So this is your cheap Chinese OBDII scanners for enthusiasts like us to use. Why is a plane flying over now? This isn't my first foray into the world of cheap OBDII scanners. I've had a few over the years, mixed reviews, so actually I'm probably quite a good place to review this one. But firstly, I just wanted to talk to you about your options here. So I've got a few machines in here that I've used over the years, and I kind of want to explain the differences between them and the costs and things like that. So let's lean down here, shall we? So this is the iCarSoft option. Now iCarSoft isn't cheap, and as you can tell by their name, they're also probably like a cheap Chinese brand. You can tell by sort of the fonts and things on there as well. However, this is a specific Land Rover one, so you can have them specific for your vehicle, or you can buy a very expensive one that does all the vehicles. Now, from experience from various brands, these are very good, but they're anywhere between 150 to £200 new. I picked this up about £100 used. But the advantage of this is it can read, well, it should be able to read and clear faults in every module in your car, including airbags and seat modules and dash modules, and most modern cars have a billion trillion modules, so that is why you pay extra for something like that. However, there are cheaper options out there for different cars. If I go down, I'm feeling in a pocket here, I'm not doing weird stuff, I promise. This is another good one, Carista. This is basically a little OBDII Bluetooth dongle, and it has an app. Now, for most cars, this will just do your standard OBDII reading like the cheap ones. And you obviously need to have a phone that works with it. I think it works with both iPhone and Android. I've got an iPhone and it works perfectly fine. However, if you've got a Volkswagen past about 2005 and a BMW of a similar age, you can do a lot of other things. You can scan specific modules. I don't think you can do airbags with these, I'm not sure. But you can also customize features. So Volkswagen and Audis, you can put different settings on and change it so it bleeps when you lock and things like that. So this is quite good if you're into sort of modifying more and you have a Volkswagen or a BMW or an Audi or a Seat or a Skoda. You know what I'm talking about. VAG group cars and BMW group cars, this does a few things. However, I think this was 30-40 quid, plus it's about 60 quid a year. I think you can pay for like one-time code changes and stuff, but it still adds up. And for this car, it'll just do basic OBD anyway. So that's why I like these quite a lot, these little things, because from someone who's bought and sold a lot of cars and has owned many different brands, engine warning lights are very common, and half the time they're just something completely stupid that you can clear. And the other half of the time you can use this to diagnose the fault. So I don't know if I have it in here actually. I do have. I've got another OBDII reader that cost me about 20 quid about 3 years ago, and the thing works absolutely fine. So this being a similar price, but with a few more nicer features to see. It's got full 10 modes of OBDII test, customized graph and live data. I think that means data. Graph battery voltage test, multi-language available, built-in DTC lookup. So I would recommend, if you don't understand fully, to look up what OBDII actually is. Basically, past 96, I think every car had to have a version of OBDII. It might have been later that 2 was brought in, but essentially means that they have to have some sort of communication with a universal computer that everyone can use to read fault codes. But it doesn't include things like specific modules for parts of the interior and stuff, but engine, not a problem. So I'm going to plug into the Range Rover and we're going to have a look what it's like, really. First, I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing to show you what you get for your money. I mean, it'll be a very quick unboxing video, hence why I'm doing it in here, because there's not much to it. So I'll do an unboxing and I'll plug it in and we'll have a look. If the Range Rover's got any hidden codes, because the light's not on anymore, I fixed that. Unfortunately, about a week before I was offered this, with the old iCarSoft, but technically the error I had was a lambda sensor, and that could easily be cleared by something like this. So yes, have a look what you get in the box, and then I'll plug it in and just see what the system looks like, because yeah, I'm quite interested in this. It looks quite nice for the money. So then, this is the box, as I showed you already. It's, you know, pretty basic box. A lot of the Chinese products I've bought recently have come in a box like this. It's, you know, it's what it is. It's nothing exciting. I'll open it up now. Obviously with one hand, because I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm not on tech unboxing guru or any of that. That's what we've got. So, we have got an instruction manual, a USB lead, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And yeah, the actual unit itself, nicely packaged up, and it's got a protector on it. So very simple to use system, only 4 buttons. If you look at the quick start guide, sorry, for instructions, yeah, they've got English. I mean, it seems pretty good English actually. A lot of these early ones were very weird English. But yeah, you've also got one thing I wanted to talk about. So you've got all these different functions on here. You can read live data, that's very handy. But you've also got I've dropped it. So you've got this USB cable, and the idea is this is usually for updating software on them. Now, as far as I'm concerned, these things don't really need updated software. It's just sort of, yeah, a bit. I don't know why you'd need to update software. I've had a few of these, and I don't know why they have the option for it. Someone might be able to tell me below, but personally, they've always just come out of the box working, because the whole idea of OBD is they work. So, you know, it's a recognised language. But anyway, I'm going to go plug this into the OBD port of the Range Rover now, switch the ignition on, turn all the noisy stuff off so you can hear me, and I'll run a scan, and we'll see if there's any codes that aren't showing up as an engine management light, or if there's any store codes in there as well, which these are quite handy for looking up and clearing. But before I do that, there'll be some people who really want me to do this. Ooh, lovely. Simply lovely. So yeah, these are pretty simple units to use. I did actually record a whole video yesterday of me doing stuff with this, and it didn't record sound, or it got screwed up or something, so I'm going to try again. So yeah, pretty simple to use. You just plug this into your, don't watch the Crocs, you just plug this into your OBD socket, which on the Range Rover is actually down here. They're usually in a place where you can't see which way around you've got to plug it, which is always good fun. But they only go in one way. If you look, they only go in one way, like an old SCART lead, they remind me of. Kids won't know what that is these days. As soon as you plug it in, it will sort of light up because it's got power. But you can't really do much code scanning or anything like that. I think, oh, didn't want to do that. You can probably read the battery. Yeah, so I can read the battery voltage because it's just standard procedure. This is really handy for checking if you've got a drain or anything. So yeah, it's a really nice way of not getting your hands dirty. You just plug it in, check the battery voltage, and you can see if the car's draining anything. And also you can start the car and have a look if it's charging properly or whatever. So at the moment it's 11.8. I'm sure if I started it would go to 14. But yeah, for diagnostics, you have to flip the thing on. So yeah, you have to switch the ignition to stage 2, as they call it. So 1, 2, which is basically on but not on, if it's were. So yeah, once it's found, once it's communicated, you get an overview of information here. Engine management lights off, which is correct because well, it's on at the moment because it's an ignition, but as it doesn't have it when you're driving, because I fixed it the other week. You can go into the module, read codes, and what I like about this one is it shows pending codes and permanent codes, not just stored codes. So on this, it's all completely empty, but what often happens, you might have a pending code where the light hasn't come on yet, but there is a fault. So for example, if I were to unplug the MAF sensor, the car will probably start and then switch off and give me a million codes, knowing the Range Rover will come up with transmission codes, you know, all the, you know, cruise control codes will come up with loads if I unplug that, and they won't be in stored, they'll be in pending. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prove the theory now. I'm going to unplug the MAF, restart the engine, and you'll see that it will cack itself basically. Right, so I've unplugged the MAF. Stop banging at me. So this is a really good example of a fault you might have, and you might absolutely cack yourself thinking, oh, it's my car's completely knackered, because watch what happens when I start the engine with the MAF unplugged. So we look at all those faults that we're getting just because the MAF's unplugged, right? Now, you might be like, oh no, I need to change the transmission, blah, blah, blah. Or you need a more expensive thing like this to find out what's wrong. But however, if I switch this off and then put it to ignition 2 again, let's have a look. Let's go on diagnostics. So it's finding all the modules again. Let's have a look at this. Let's read codes. So stored codes, there is none. You go, oh, there's no codes, but pending codes. You got the mass airflow and the intake temperature circuit low. And there's no permanent codes as well. Now I don't actually have to clear those codes in theory, but I'll erase them anyway just to be sure. I'll go plug the MAF back in and the car will work again. They're not being cleared because there's no codes in there to clear, that's why. So if I plug that MAF back in, the thing will start up absolutely fine. So role play with me, won't you? What I've done now is I had a fault. It looked like the MAF sensor. I've either cleaned it or replaced it, or in this case I've just plugged it back in. Engine starts up. No faults listed. It's all good, and it's all because I used this and I didn't panic and take it to a specialist or think the transmission was broken and all these other things. And that's why I love little items like this, because you could be very easily mistaken that your car's completely shagged. And if you have one of these in your glove box, you can just quickly get it out, read the codes, come up with your own diagnostics, and you'll know what needs doing before the AA man even gets there. Or if you're close to home or a parts store, you might be able to run and fix it. So it's one of the reasons I really like these. There's another setting on here which I really like. I'll just turn that back on. And that's to do with emissions. So you can, mode 6 is a sort of O2 test and looks for all the cylinder misfires, and then you've just got a standard O2 test. Again, it's similar to mode 6 actually, isn't it? A bit confused with what the difference is there, but I think there's something to do with, I think mode 6 is something to do with American states and their emissions test. I could be wrong, and the O2 sensor is just general, but that's really handy because this particular car had a lambda sensor fault. My other co-reader did pick up which lambda it was, but after plugging in a new one, I was very quickly able to set. I was very quick and able to see that it wasn't a cat that was knackered, because it was the post-cat lambda sensor that was broken. So that could either mean that the lambda sensor was dead, or that my cat was knackered and absolutely killing it. So it was very easy to quickly diagnose and check that both cats were putting out the same amount of the sensors were reading similarly, so there was no difference between the two, and therefore I could diagnose that the cat was okay. It was just the sensor which was replaced, and all good now. Hence, like I say, no warning lights. But yeah. Right then, let's sum up, shall we? So yeah, as I said at the start of the video, I've had a few of these little OBDII reader things. I think the advantage of something like this over the other options, say the bigger readers that do more, or the Bluetooth things, is it's just a standalone device that you can have kept in your glove box. And it's got me out of trouble before sometimes with cars that would go into limp mode due to like a bad sensor or a bad injector, and I'm able to clear it and, you know, drive it for at least a couple of hours to get home and things like that. And also it means I can test the car at the side of the road and get a good idea of why I've broken down, for example. For the home mechanic, again, something can just fit in your toolbox. You don't have to have your phone on you. You don't have to have a big expensive thing like that. So I do think these are worth having in a toolbox. I mean, for the price you pay more for a ratchet than you do for one of these, and it can do quite a lot. The advantage of getting one of these is it's universal, whereas the other options I showed you are quite often limited to a specific car. So if you're, say for example, And the Range Rover, if you wanted the Bluetooth module, which can change settings and do all that, kind of like Carista, but for the Range Rover, it's the IID tool. Now, go look at the price of that thing. It is absolutely unbelievably expensive, and I still don't know why. When, you know, I don't know. I don't understand why it's so expensive. I really don't. It's, you know, 500-600 quid for a little Bluetooth dongle or whatever it is. No way I was ever going to pay that when you can get, you know, the iCarsoft does most of the same thing. And to be honest, most of the stuff you want is on one of these for 20 quid. Yeah, I mean, as I say, they did give me this to review. I mean, they've saved me 20 quid or whatever it was. You know, it's not a very expensive device. But this is a completely non-biased review. I think these are great devices anyway, but this particular one seems to be... seems to suit me anyway. I like the form factor, I like the size, I like the quality of the screen, and to be honest, the whole thing, you know, okay, the case is a bit plasticky, but look at the thickness of that cable and things like that. You know, I get the feeling if this is in your toolbox, you're probably going to get a scratch screen maybe if you don't leave the protector on, but like I say, it's cheap. It's a very good tool. It gets my little Tide format seal of approval. Any of you who watched my last video will probably be hoping that a axle stand company is going to send me some freebies to try out next. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much to people who sent me this. I've got a link down in the description for you if you want one. Like I say, they're on Amazon Prime. They're not very expensive, and yeah, I quite like it. See you next time.